Hello to all our LinkedIn followers and welcome to today's session on cloud-based contact centers during times of change. I'm David Wasserman from NICE's portfolio marketing team, and today I'll be talking with Chris Bauserman, one of our top cloud experts. So welcome, Chris.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
So Chris, clearly the last few months, contact centers were focused on ensuring the safety of their employees by moving everyone to work from home very quickly, while trying to keep operations going seamlessly. Can you tell us what you've learned about the advantages of that initial move for those contact centers on a cloud-based foundation?
Sure. So, one of the things that people have talked about as a big benefit of moving to a cloud platform overall has been flexibility and agility. And I think that really proved itself out and then some in the rapid move to work from home. We're able to see with customers who are already running their contact centers on a cloud platform it was really a business decision versus a technology decision. So organizations that started to see early signs of at-risk agent populations were able to move all those agents home immediately. And then when government orders came in to really shut down operations in the office, we saw 1,000+ seat organizations, 2,000 seat organizations move their whole team home and get them up and working again from home within an afternoon. So that agility really did pay off. On the flip side, we saw organizations that hadn't made that investment, that switch to cloud, take a little bit more time. There were a lot more steps, and it wasn't just a matter of a business decision. They had to actually go through and reconfigure networks, get VPN access, get desktops configured for their agents. And so that was a matter of, in many cases, a couple hours of a move if you're on the cloud to several weeks if you were not on the cloud yet.
Yeah. So, from what you've described, clearly a cloud foundation enabled organizations to be super agile in the face of this crisis. But in a typical contact center, as you know, there's usually an on-site IT staff that handles troubleshooting on the desktop, troubleshooting in the network, software and hardware issues. But now that IT staff, like the contact center agents, are at home.
Yeah.
How are contact centers actually addressing that under these circumstances that have a cloud foundation?
Yeah, well, this is, that's a great point. And this is where having a technology for your agents and your supervisors and managers that's actually simple really makes a difference. I mean, simple both in terms of easy to use, but also simple to manage. Because in a cloud environment, much of the, nearly all the IT elements, other than do your agents and supervisors have a laptop with a browser and internet connection, which is really all you need to run your contact center in a cloud environment. Everything else, all the IT is taken care of by the cloud provider. So in that sense, really looking at the cloud provider, having their operations, being able to support them, and agents aren't having to troubleshoot getting on with IT and saying, hey, this Windows driver doesn't work and my VPN connection, is timing out. How can I fix that? And oops, my kid got my laptop last night and changed that fragile thing that you worked with me on yesterday morning, and now I can't sign it again. So, it really is that notion of having all that IT headache outsourced to a cloud provider, and B, just removing a lot of fragile parts that legacy systems that can go wrong. And I think if you look at sort of that sort of elegant solution, if you will, that really pays off when you need to move quickly and need to have agents work from home.
Yeah. Not a day that goes by, Chris, I don't talk to someone who tells me that they're trying to reach a contact center and they're either put on hold or worse, they actually get a recording or some type of message that says, just try again at another time. This is generally, as I understand it, driven by spikes in call volumes really across the board, including critical industries like banking and healthcare that are very important to all of us. How does a cloud-based solution position a contact center to better address those spikes in call volumes?
Sure, there's kind of three big areas, and then kind of a fourth kind of unique to some industries. But the first thing is you're never going to run out of technical capacity, right? So there's no server space to worry about, right? The cloud just scales up, and what we've seen is in working with a number of organizations, especially governments, during this time of crisis, that we saw call volumes go up 10,000% or more, right? 10,000 times higher. So which is normally you'll see commercial businesses maybe go up, spike up 10x, 100x. So they're talking about thousands of times greater volume, and the system just scales. So that's of course having the system capacity scales only one part of it. Next thing is you got to have people, right? And so so one of the other things that cloud does is it lets you tap into a much broader workforce more quickly. So we just talked about how you don't need to have anything other than a laptop or a computer with a browser and internet connection. So you can all much more easily move supervisors, managers, back office workers, or formal folks in to take contacts, take calls and digital interactions. So you can scale up your workforce directly more quickly. But the third thing is you can actually pull in other sites, right? So it's not just having your one physical site in one city go from home and add some of the other staff to it. You can have other locations if you have a business that has multiple sites around the country, around the world. You can bring those in, and you can also easily bring in third-party outsourcers to the system. So it's again a much broader range of people that you can bring in and all have them in the same queue, route them in the same IVR trees, etc. And then kind of the fourth part of that is kind of a often overlooked part of scale elasticity are the voice ports when it comes to calls. And a voice port, is sort of a little bit technical, but really what it means is having a voice port for a caller is the difference between calling in and being told, through an IVR prompt that you're on hold and maybe you've got a wait time of an hour versus a busy signal, right? And if you look at a busy signal, that's the worst thing in the world, right? A long wait's one thing. But a busy signal is sort of crushing, especially talking about healthcare situations, financial situations, government services. So by having all those voice ports in there, what we've done too is made unlimited free voice ports available to all the emergency responders, governments, and state and local governments and national governments to help them through this crisis. And of course, a bonus fifth here, because this is really an important thing to talk about, which is how do you adapt to keep your citizens and your customers serviced, is also being able to provide a lot of flexible options and modern features like scheduling and callback time. So if you do get that, you don't get a busy signal, you get through your IVR, and you realize you can't self-service the IVR and you need to talk to someone, but you hear it's a 2-hour wait, which is not uncommon, right? Yeah. You can schedule, hey, send me a text, let me self-service it on the web, or, call me back in 2 hours, right? And make an appointment. So I think those are all things that you can do that the cloud allows you to do to really help improve that customer experience and allow contact centers to be able to adjust and staff and manage these really huge spikes.
Yeah, that's great. One thing that I've been thinking about, and actually I've gotten a lot of feedback from others about, is as I think about contact centers, it's common for them to schedule agents to handle an expected interaction volume. And in the case of call spikes, they bring on team leads, supervisors, trainers to handle that additional volume. But when you talk about these really huge increases in volume, clearly that won't be enough. And I was interested to ask you, is it more feasible to handle those volumes when you've got a combination of at-home agents and a cloud foundation? Is that better able to serve businesses than maybe even having agents in the office?
Yeah, well, I think one of the big benefits of a cloud platform is that it's really designed to be virtual, right? It doesn't know a physical boundary, right? So so that whether you're at home or in the office or across multiple offices, right? As I mentioned, you can kind of look at a distributed set of agents and supervisors, right, that are at home in a certain geographic area as a virtual site, virtual location. But if you've got some other agents that are 100 miles away, 500 miles away, whether they're sort of a virtual physical site or just a number of people who you've been able to keep working remotely and sort of a great way to hire and keep good people, you can bring all those people in and you can have all the flexibility about how you route them, how you tie them in to provide service. But again, you can really tie that into any location, any office, and including tying in business process outsourcers, which have excess capacity, and kind of tying them into your system as well. And you can do that without having a physical constraint. So they can all be a single queue, single IVR prompt, single set of skills so that you can actually really balance that, balance that queue across as many locations, populations of agents as possible.
Makes sense. We're going to change things up a little bit. So far we've talked about what I think of as kind of the hard foundation of a cloud-based solution. But as I think about all the other critical applications that sit on top of that foundation, things like scheduling, performance, quality management, all those things that help a contact center meet their business KPIs. How does that change when you move to agents from home, specifically on a cloud-based foundation?
Well, I think every organization, when they first move their agents from home in a rapid fashion, month and a half or 2 months ago, had to relax their KPIs a little bit. Right? They had to say, hey, this is different. Kind of everything's disrupted. But now as we're looking at it around the world, we're seeing that things are starting to sort of reopen or shift a little bit back to normal. But that what normal looks like, is not everybody goes back in the office and everything turns normal. So, I think what organizations realized over the last few weeks is you really have to start building upon how do you restore the level of productivity, the level of proficiency, and the quality of customer service in this remote environment that you had before. And I think a couple big ways that the cloud can help with that is, as I mentioned before, that it is designed to be a complete virtual environment by default. So so a lot of the things in terms of applications like coaching, performance management, feedback management, all these things that maybe in the office you had a wall board of a very pretty giant monitor that listed leaderboards and challenges and and how the team was hitting their KPIs, or maybe you kind of listened in with a side jacking or just listening and or watching over someone's shoulder as they're servicing a customer and kind of coaching them one-on-one live. Those things don't work anymore. But a cloud platform is designed to work from everywhere, so that things like performance management, gamification, listening and whispering in the agent's ear virtually has all been built to work that way. So it really is designed to be a collaborative, coaching, performance-driving environment, no matter where you are. And I think that's kind of having all those applications that are designed, purpose-built for running in the cloud for virtual teams, I think will play a big part in restoring that productivity and that level of quality and performance.
Yeah. So just one last question. I'll change it up a little bit. We've obviously talked a lot today about cloud-based foundations, but I think about all those organizations that are on an on-premise infrastructure. What are you hearing that they're doing now as they kind of look forward into the new normal, and how they're thinking about potentially leveraging a cloud foundation as a longer or maybe even a medium-term approach moving forward?
Well, I think any big disruption like we're experiencing tends to accelerate trends that were already there, and we're certainly seeing that with a lot of organizations. So even if you've been able to move your agents to work from home mode with your legacy on-premises systems, typically those systems are kind of designed to kind of handle a snow day, a short disruption. And as you talked about earlier, a lot of IT support issues, collaboration that isn't really working there to help drive agent performance. So what they're seeing now is, hey, if this is the new normal, as you said, we've got to do some things to really help be more agile, be more optimized, from either a full work from home or a partial work from home or an on again, off again work from home environment. And really the natural answer to that is moving to the cloud. And so I think, what we're seeing is we've actually seen, large organizations that we've set up special offers for move to the cloud within 48 hours and then restore that full business productivity over the next several days. So moving to the cloud can be fast, right? So you already wanted to do it. It's not like you have to wait 6 months to get it done. And it helps you with that ongoing productivity, agent performance, and quality of service. But the other big thing that we didn't talk about yet is cost savings, right? And I think everyone's feeling pinched on revenue, and moving to the cloud already has a great ROI over time. But by moving fast and by being able to get those benefits quickly, you can actually get a net benefit to your budget within a quarter or so, right? And so people looking to cut costs this year, you can actually move to the cloud, modernize your systems, get that performance and agility, but still save costs this year. So, there's no time like the present, as they say, and I think that's true for organizations looking to accelerate that move to the cloud.
Yeah, terrific. Well, Chris, this has been a great discussion. It's clear that a cloud foundation is certainly the only way to rapidly ensure business continuity and a successful agent at home approach during the crisis, and an ongoing strategy in a world that's really in constant change. So thanks again for taking the time with us today. I appreciate it a lot.
My pleasure.
And be sure to join us next week to our LinkedIn Live audience as we continue our series on customer service in times of change. Until then, all of us at NICE wish you a great rest of the week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.